Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and thank you for joining us. My name is Zahra Brifkani, and inshallah, I will build on Dr. Ali's talk about enhancing learning in faith-based and specifically Islamic schools. And my study, I conducted it in a K-12 Islamic school, and it was a mixed method action research, and it was focused on enhancing teacher capacity, so the skills, the knowledge, the perceptions, the self-confidence, so that they can be better equipped to help their students develop the social emotional skills. So just to kind of get us started really quick to have like a shared understanding. So SEL is the process by which, children, adults develop these social emotional skills that are really essential to supportive, healthy development and relationships. And I want to bring in the character development in here. This is one that a lot of scholars are now talking about how many of the SEL programs out there this is the missing piece in it. And when we add that character development into the SEL programs, it's sort of like an expanded conceptualization of SEL. We're really kind of adding those talking about teaching children about values and helping them develop these really important skills that tie so well to the Islamic perspective on education. And having that self-disciplined citizens. So whenever you see the SECD in my presentation, that's what I'm referring to. So the need, just quickly, I think we're all familiar with the need and for the SEL nowadays. We see an increase in our students, with the mental health and behavior challenges that we see them going through. So we know that we really do need to help our students develop these essential skills. And there are a lot of studies that have looked at the benefits of helping students develop these SEL skills. And, from building strong relationship to life purpose to future success. And for those who are more focused on academic success as well. So we have studied even by 11%. So how does this tie with the education from an Islamic perspective? Is this something that we should be looking to in Islamic schools? Well, when we look at education from an Islamic perspective, we know that it aims for the comprehensive development of the whole person. Okay, so the spiritual, the intellectual, the social, the emotional, the character that we just talked about. And a lot of times when we look at literature that talks about, education from Islamic perspective, we come across these terms, the tarbiyah, the ta'deeb, the ta'aleem, khalifa, and all of those really kind of, tarbiyah specifically, I feel like it's kind of like an umbrella, and a lot of these words kind of concepts go under. And really, when you combine them, you're getting this comprehensive, concept where you're really nurturing the whole child. And I like to even get our attention to the word khalifa. And I feel like that's really kind of missing from like that character. Because a lot of times we have this individualistics, you're only thinking about yourself. But for us, is where do you fit in within the community? How can you give back to the community? I have that purpose in life. That's so important. So for us to make sure that that is part of what we're covering in Islamic schools. So, okay, so this, this all sounds great, right? But when it comes to implementation, how do we implement this in Islamic schools? How do we help our students develop all these amazing skills, okay? Because we know that in an effective Islamic, Islamically rooted social emotional program or initiative, it needs to be really systematic, it needs to be integrated, it needs to take place at the school level. So those structures, there's policies and all of that. It needs to happen in the classroom, by creating those positive classroom environment, strong teacher-student relationship, as well as teachers modeling the skill. This is the big one. Our teachers have to model these skills, okay? Also, we have to integrate it throughout the day, their time at the school. So there are many challenges to that. It is not an easy task for sure, okay? And this is not just in Islamic schools, by the way, across, many are struggling with this because we have teacher-related factors. This is one of the main ones, really, that the main challenges that many schools face. And we have time, resources, many challenges that come in the way. And what ends up happening is we have inconsistent implementation, we have sporadic implementation, we really don't reach the results that we want to get, okay? And this was observed I observed it in the school that I worked with, National International Academy in Nashville, Tennessee. So another challenge that I'm just going to talk about before I talk about this school is the Islamic schools. Also an issue is it's hard for us to find SEL programs that can really align with what we're trying to teach and our students' needs. The faith part, the spiritual part, and that character part. So what we have to do, we have this big task. We have to bring it in, and we really have to modify it and adjust it and tweak it and really reflect on it and see what we need to do for it to really address our students' needs. So this is what we did at NIA, National International Academy. So we created a Islamic whole child framework. It's a whole child school, and it took us 3-4 years to really go through many processes of really kind of creating that. And of course, under that whole child framework, we needed an SEL program. So we created a Islamically rooted social emotional character development program. And alhamdulillah, we saw amazing results. We saw, a sense of community, belonging for the students. We saw, compassion. So we saw great results. But at the same time, we also still continue to see as our students struggle with some of these social emotional challenges and areas. So this is kind of where my study started. I wanted to know, well, what is the problem? Where is the gap? Like, why do we continue to see this? So I started looking, is it buy-in? Is it structures at school? Is it at the school level? Is it in the classrooms? And the more I looked into it and I conducted observations and I looked and did interviews and talked with the leaders, I kind of figured out that it was something to do with the classroom, what was happening in the classroom. So with doing a lot of research, of course, we know that the teachers are the implementers. Whatever program we bring in, they're going to be implementing it. So it makes sense that we kind of pay extra attention to the teachers and what's happening in the classroom. What kind of experiences are they providing the students? Are they creating those positive environments, those safe environments for the students to practice these SEL skills that they're learning? And when we look at just overall, not just Islamic schools, we know that the teacher preparation programs really do not prepare teachers to teach the SEL, okay? And we know that a lot of times SEL programs, school leaders, they just assume that the teachers will be able to do this. They just give this initial training and you're good to go. The application part is missing. And this is what I kind of observed what was happening in our school as well. We have training, we're providing overall general training, but really there's something missing. So I relied on this theoretical framework. I really wanted to, like I said, really wanted to look at implementation and teacher training. And it's just for me, I wanted to see what are those missing pieces that I can put in place to really see that we can see different results. So after a lot of research and discussions, I came to the conclusion that because this was action research, by the way, so you have a problem, you kind of find a solution for it, you apply the solution and see if it made any difference or not, okay? So I created a training session that had 2 parts to it. The first part is a training for the whole entire group of teachers that we had. And this training is sort of an initial training that focuses on building the shared understanding. What is our program? What are we trying to do? Why are we trying to do? You're kind of covering the buy-in, the motivation, all those kind of initial steps. Okay. Now, the second part, which I felt like was the one that was missing the most, is this individualized training. Okay. So remember when we, talk about SEL and modeling to the students, we have teachers from different coming from different expertise and schools. So they have they might not have training in SEL. They might not feel confident. So I needed to make sure that I provide that tailored coaching training for them. So, and of course, I collected quantitative qualitative data. And these were my research questions. When I wanted to look at the consistency, what was happening in the classrooms. I wanted to look at the fidelity. I wanted to see the quality of those lessons. I wanted to see if the students were engaged. So I was doing this. So I did surveys and interviews before doing my training sessions. And during it, I had observations. And then after, I also collected did the interviews and collected survey results as well. Okay. So before I did the training, I wanted to know what was going on in the classroom first. So through interviews and surveys, I figured out that all of the teachers valued SEL. The buy-in was not an issue. We didn't have an issue there. They all knew that we needed to help the students develop these skills, and they all actually saw themselves as facilitators of SEL. So this was great. This was a good start for us, okay? But there was inconsistency because while they valued SEL, they were prioritizing academics. So they were actually sometimes using SEL3 to catch up with academics, the gaps. So that was a big thing for us that we noticed. And they had really, like when it came to confidence level, we had varying levels of confidence. Some were not confident at all. Some were somewhat confident. Some felt like they were confident, but they really felt like they could learn more. So they were not on the same page, okay? And then they all had different challenges. Some had challenges with student engagement. Others could not find resources that would kind of align with what we were teaching. And then they all felt like the training that we provided was too broad and too general. It really did not have the application component. So how did we go about doing this training? So the training was over 3 months, a period of 3 months. And what I did is I met with each individual teacher every week. And I sort of kind of gave it to them. I was guiding them, but I wanted them to take the lead. So I wanted them to decide, what are the challenges that you're seeing? You would reflect on it. What do you want to work on? What do you want to prioritize? What do you want to try? And then we would make a plan. So we had many cycles. We would make a plan. And then the next week I would go in the classrooms, they would teach it, all in a safe space. I would observe it, I would collect the feedback and share that with them. And then we'd meet again the next week. And then we had these cycles of sort of collaborative reflection sessions. So after the trainings, the data showed that their confidence increased, which was really, made me so happy because this is something that I was looking for. And we saw consistency as well increase. Fidelity. So before they were really not covering the Islamic SEL, that framework that we had. They sort of kind of whatever issues and challenges came up, they would just address those issues. Like if there was bullying happening, they would just talk about bullying. So we wanted to really, for them to have like take care of the whole comprehensive framework. We also saw an increase in student engagement and continue to see supportive learning environment. Okay, so I only have very little time, so I'm just going to quickly go over. Okay, yes. So I'm going to go over the takeaway and conclusion. So for us to really expect our teachers, the implementers, those who spend such a long time with our students, to help them develop those essential social, emotional, and character skills, we have to support our teachers, okay? And it is even harder for teachers who are teaching in Islamic schools, like I mentioned earlier, because you don't have access to a lot of resources. You don't have access to a lot of like the training. So we need to bring that in there, and we need to modify it, and we need to support them to be able to help our students, okay? And then one more thing, as you like, I want you to reflect on this because this is so important. Like this question of, well, what does it look like? You know, how do we see our classrooms when they are really supporting our students? What does that really look like? Okay, and I want to sort of emphasize that we have like a unique responsibility to really nurture our students, like the whole child, because as I discussed, it really aligns with education from Islamic perspective. So we really have this responsibility to do that. And in order for us to do that, we really have to reflect on what are we doing in with our schools, and how can we support this human, the human aspect to start that, because this depends on this relationship building, depends on modeling those skills and being role models for them. So if we want that to take place, so what do we have to do? We know that for sure we have to support them in ways, and this was just an example of one of the ways that we can support our teachers so that they can nurture our children and they can really address all their needs, social, emotional, spiritual, character building as well. So I'm going to stop right here. Thank you.